Khadijah bint Khuwaylid. First woman in Islam and first wife of Prophet Muhammad. Early life. Khadijah bint Khuwaylid, commonly known as Khadijah, was the first wife and first female follower of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. Khadijah was the daughter of Khuwaylid ibn Asad, a leader of Quraysh tribe in Mecca, and Fatima bint Zayd. She was born in Makkah in the year 555 or 556. Her known siblings were two brothers, Hizam and Al-Awam, two sisters, Ruqayqah and Hala, and a paternal half-brother, Nawfal. Khadijah may have spent her childhood sitting in the bazaars learning to negotiate bargains. She became a very successful merchant. It is said that when the Quraysh's trade caravan travelers gathered to embark upon their summer journey to Syria or winter journey to Yemen, Khadijah's caravan equaled the caravans of all other traders of the Quraysh put together. First two marriages. Khadijah's first husband was Atiq ibn Aid, a junior member of the Makhzum clan. They had two children, daughter Hind and son Abdullah, who died in infancy. Most sources state that Atiq died, although there is a variant tradition that the marriage ended in divorce. Khadijah then married a Bedouin nobleman, Malik ibn Nabash, who was from the Tamim tribe. Their marriage produced 3 children, suggesting that it lasted between 4 and 6 years. Their first son was named Hala. Their second son was, confusingly, also named Hind, and their daughter, Zainab, probably died young, as no more is heard about her. Khadijah later mentioned that she had borne each of her first 2 husbands a child who had died in infancy. Khadijah met Muhammad. In the spring of 595, Khadijah required a new agent to accompany her camels to Syria. Her relative, Abu Talib, recommended the services of his ward, a nephew whom he could no longer afford to keep. Khadijah agreed to hire him for a higher commission than she usually paid. His name was Muhammad. 2 months later, Muhammad returned to Mecca with merchandise worth nearly double what Khadijah had expected. Her old and trusted slave Maysara being delegated to accompany and serve him. When he returned home, Maysara reported to Khadijah all that had taken place on the trip to Syria. She was deeply moved and impressed, and started thinking of proposing marriage to Muhammad. Marriage with Muhammad. One of her very close friends, Nafisa bint Manbah, knew of her inclination, and she went to Muhammad and requested his permission to ask him a very personal question. When he said he had no objection, she asked why he had not yet got married. He said he did not have the financial resources. Then she asked him if he would be willing to marry a beautiful lady from a noble and wealthy family, who was inclined towards marriage with him. He asked whom she was referring to. When he learned her identity, he said that he was willing, provided she was willing to marry him. Khadijah was overjoyed. Muhammad was then 25 years of age and Khadijah was 40 years old. According to one tradition, she was 28. Muhammad and Khadijah were married monogamously for 25 years. After her death, Muhammad took other wives. Children with Muhammad. Muhammad and Khadijah may have had 6 or 8 children, but sources disagree about number of children. Most sources only identify 6. Their first son was Qasim, who died after his 3rd birthday. Khadijah then gave birth to their daughters Zainab, Ruqayah, Kulthum and Fatima, and lastly to their son Abdallah. Abdallah was known as At-Tayyib, the good, and At-Tahir, the pure, because he was born after Muhammad was declared a prophet by the angel Gabriel as a direct message from Allah. Abdullah also died in childhood. 2 other children also lived in Khadijah's household, Ali ibn Abi Talib, the son of Muhammad's uncle, and Zayd ibn Haritha, a boy from the Udar tribe who had been kidnapped and sold into slavery. Zayd was a slave in Khadijah's household for several years, until his father came to Mecca to take him home. Muhammad insisted that Zayd be given a choice about where he lived, and Zayd decided to remain where he was, after which Muhammad legally adopted Zayd as his own son. Supporting the Allah's Messenger. According to the traditional Sunni narrative, when Muhammad reported his first revelation from the angel Gabriel, Jibril, Khadijah was the first person to convert to Islam. After his experience in the cave of Hira, Muhammad returned home to Khadijah in a state of terror, pleading for her to cover him with a blanket. After calming down, he described the encounter to Khadijah, who comforted him with the words that Allah would surely protect him from any danger, and would never allow anyone to revile him, as he was a man of peace and reconciliation and always extended the hand of friendship to all. According to some sources, it was Khadijah's cousin, Waraqah ibn Nawfal, who confirmed Muhammad's prophethood soon afterwards. Khadijah was supportive of Muhammad's prophetic mission, always helping in his work, proclaiming his message and belittling any opposition to his prophecies. It was her encouragement that helped Muhammad believe in his mission and spread Islam. Khadijah also invested her wealth in the mission. When the polytheists and aristocrats of the Quraysh harassed the Muslims, she used her money to ransom Muslim slaves and feed the Muslim community. In 616 the Quraysh declared a trade boycott against the Hashim clan. They attacked, imprisoned and beat the Muslims, who sometimes went for days without food or drink. Khadijah continued to maintain the community until the boycott was lifted in late 619 or early 620. Death of Khadijah. Khadijah passed away 3 years before Hijrah at the age of 65, and her death, along with that of Prophet Muhammad's uncle Abu Talib the same year, was such a tragedy to the Prophet that it was called the Year of Grief. She was not only his wife, but his best friend, his moral support, his rock to lean on. And he loved her so much that he would always remember her, even after her death. She was buried in Jannat al-Mu'alla Cemetery, in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Khadijah was cherished by the Prophet as a beloved wife, dearest companion, and strongest proponent. She is also recognized as one of the most excellent of women of all time. Abdullah bin Abbas narrated that one day the Prophet drew 4 lines on the land and asked his companions if they understood what these lines stood for. They respectfully replied that he knew better. He then told them that these lines stood for the 4 foremost women of the universe, and that they were Khadijah bint Khuwaylid, Fatima bint Muhammad, their daughter, Maryam bint Imran, the mother of Jesus, and Deja bint Muzahim, the wife of Pharaoh. Interesting facts and controversies. Khadijah was 40 years old when she married Muhammad. He was 25. She and Muhammad shared a monogamous relationship until her death in 619. By contrast, Abdullah ibn Abbas, the cousin who lived at Muhammad's side through the final years in Medina, stated that on the day Khadijah married Allah's messenger, she was 28 years old. If this is correct, she was born between March 568 and March 569. Variant traditions claim other years. She, unlike her people, never believed in nor worshipped idols. Khadijah is often referred to by Muslims as mother of the believers. Controversy revolves around Khadijah's children by her second husband, a dispute related to the controversy that revolves around the other daughters or stepdaughters of Muhammad. These daughters, chronologically arranged, are Zainab, Ruqayya, and Kulthum. Some historians say that these were Khadijah's daughters by her second husband, whereas others insist they were her daughters by Muhammad. Shia version of marriages and children. Shia scholars believed Khadijah did not marry anyone before Muhammad. Ibn Sharshid quoted that Khadijah was a virgin when she married Muhammad. In addition, considering the cultural and intellectual situation in Hijaz and high position and status of Khadijah al-Kubra among other people, it would be highly improbable that she marry men from Banu Tamim and Banu Maksim, the 2 low tribes. Shia Muslims believe that 2 children attributed to Khadijah were the children of Hala, Khadijah's sister. After Hala's husband's death, Khadijah took care of Hala and, after Hala's death, Hala's children.